are writing absolute value equations. So let's start with this example. The absolute value is the distance a number is from 0. I think this is really important, and I want you to write it down. Distance means difference. Very, very, very important. Distance means difference. How do we normally write difference? The negative sign, right? So each time we're talking about distance, we're talking about the difference between two places. Right? Isn't that distance, the difference between two places? Okay. -3. So if I'm at -3, how far away is that from 0? It's 3 away. So the distance between, we'll say, 0 and -3 is +3. Okay? Let's keep going. Pencils down. I'll let you take notes after. I need everybody's attention. Perfect. Okay, so this says the distance between blank and blank is, so this is what I want you to do. You're talking about the distance between something and something. So the distance between x, distance means difference, right there. So the distance between x and 1 is 3. Kind of written like this. This is the distance, right? And means the two things we're finding the distance between. If you were to put absolute value signs around this, and what does is mean? Equals. This is just this right here. The distance between x and 1 is 3. The distance between x and 1 is 3. So in the last example, we're talking about 1, right? That's what I'm going to put in the middle. We're talking about 1. We know the distance from 1 to some other number is 3. So if I go out 1, 2, 3, and in this direction I can also go out this way, 1, 2, 3. The distance between x and the number 1 is 3. So just like in those first warm-up examples we were talking about, -2 and 4 are both 3 away from 1, is what that's saying. I'll let that sink in for a second. Let's go over my steps. My first step is to mark the middle value on the number line. That's my middle right there. That's who we're talking about. We're talking about how far a number is from 1. Okay, next I need to count the distance in both directions and put the points for the solution. Okay, is this correct? -2, 4? No, why? That's a point, right? So let's pencil down. Oh, this down. Sorry. So these brackets don't mean where the point is. The brackets mean I've got two numbers that are 3 away from 1. My numbers are -2 and 4. Questions? None so far? Okay, I'll give you a second. Go ahead and write that down. Put down number 1. Write a number line. You can even write the sentence frame if you'd like. Okay, now that you've had a chance to write all that down, let's look at another one. Pencils down again. So this one says the distance between something and something is, this is my equal sign, my absolute value. The and means the distance. Distance means, class, difference. Good. This is the negative sign. Well, this doesn't have a negative sign. Does plus mean difference? Does that mean the distance between B and 8? It does not. That means B and 8 added together, right? So I need to change this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write, remember how we did, we called them skeletons for when we had the slope formula? I'm going to do the same kind of thing for absolute value. I know absolute value is in these lines right here. I know it's the difference between two numbers equals something. So the difference between B, change my color here, the difference between B and -8 is 2. Difference between B and -8 is 2. Negative times a negative is a positive. Opposite of a negative is positive. So whenever you see an addition sign in absolute value, you need to change it to this in order to evaluate it. Because now I have the difference between two things. You see what I'm saying? The difference between B and -8. Well, where's -8? Right here. How far is B away from -8? 2. 2 in this direction and 2 in this direction. So the two numbers that are 2 away from -8 are -10 and -6. Write that down. I think this is the most abstract way to look at it, but I'm doing it for a reason. Because when we go the other way, when you see a word problem, you'll know exactly what it means. So just bear with me, okay? Okay, so normally I would have you guys do this on whiteboards on your desks, but I really want you to have all these notes, okay? So why don't you try this one? Okay, so write down the problem. Here's your steps. Mark the middle, then count the distance in both directions and tell me the solution. Give you a couple minutes to do that. All right, how about Johnny? Johnny, can you read this to me? If distance means difference, then this is the distance between two things. So the distance, excuse me, between what? No. This means distance, so we don't need the negative part, right? We're isolating that. We're saying this means distance. It doesn't mean it doesn't belong to the two. It means the difference between the two of them, okay? So the difference between W and 2 is 4. Where would I begin on the number line? No. We're going to start the distance between W and 2, right? So we're going to start at 2. And how far away from 2 am I going to travel? 1, 2, 3, 4. Distance of 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. A distance of 4. What number is 4 away from 2? 6. What other number is 4 away from 2? -2. So my solutions are -2 and 6. Let's do. Questions? Is it starting to click? Yeah. Okay, good. I know it was kind of a little bit different from the beginning, right? But it's starting to click? All right, let's try another one. Because that's the misconception, Brenda. That's why I'm starting it this way. You guys are automatically conditioned to think absolute value means opposite. It doesn't mean opposite. Okay, that's exactly why we're doing this lesson. So, this means the distance between what? There's nothing here. The distance between, right? Absolute value means distance. The distance between x and what? 0, nothing. Equals 5. The distance between x and 0 is 5. So where would I start on my number line? At 0. And how far would I travel away from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So my solutions are, who's 5 away from 0? 5 and negative 5. You see the difference, Brenda? Yeah? Okay, write that one down. All right, let's move on to the next one. You think you can do this one on your own? Does this mean distance? No. Addition is not distance. So change it for me. Give you a second to do that. How about Frankie this time? Frankie, can you tell me the sentence frame? The distance between blank and blank is what? I can't hear Frankie, guys. The talk needs to stop. Brenda, turn around. The distance what? X. The distance between x and 2 is 3. I'm going to leave a blank there. Thank you. Because it's not the distance between these two, right? As soon as I see addition, I need to change it. It's the distance between x and negative 2. Everybody see that and understand why? This does not mean distance. We need to change it to a negative sign. Okay? This problem originally started like this, and then they simplified it to this. Okay, so how about Michaela? Where am I going to start? Negative 2. And how far am I going to travel away from negative 2? 3. 1, 2, 3 away. And 1, 2, 3 away. What two numbers, Michaela, are 3 away from negative 2? Good. Negative 5 and 1. Questions? Move a little faster. Discuss with your shoulder partner why this equation has no solution. I'll give you a second to do that. Fun. All right, I heard some good discussion. So, absolute value means distance, right? Distance means difference. So this is not difference, so I'm going to change it to a negative sign. X and negative 2. The distance between x and negative 2. So here's negative 2. And my distance away, I have to move how far away? You can't move negative. I can't move negative 7 this way. Right? I can only move 7 in each direction. I may move in the negative direction and the positive direction, but I never move negative 7. Distance can never be negative. So this would have no solution. Distance between x and negative 2 is question mark. We don't know because it can't be negative 7. Understood? Okay. So distance is never negative. All right, let's do the opposite. Let's write the absolute value equation for the graph that we're given. Okay, so pencils down, just pay attention. The distance between x and 5 is 2. Wait, 1, 2, 3. I'm 3 away in each direction. So just like we had before, this is my absolute value. This is my distance. Distance is negative, and is my equal sign. So I'm going to draw my skeleton, and I'm going to put these values in here. The distance between x and 5 is 3. Here's my step. Find the middle value. That's what I did. Count the distance. We counted it 3 away in each direction. Write the equation and substitute. Question? No? Write it down. 1. Okay, you guys ready to start one on your own? Just kidding. Pencils down. Let me do one more. You were supposed to do it. Pencils down. All right, so I'm going to find the middle. What's my middle? -6. So I need to find the distance between x and -6, which I can count, is 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my absolute value equation. Talking distance here, right? Distance. So the distance between x and -6 is 4. But do you normally write it like this?
No.
No. So I would simplify that to x plus 6 is 4. Don't leave it like this. I want you to write this first. First write this, then write this. It will make it easier when you see something like this to know that it means that. Understood? Okay, go ahead and write that down. Okay, you guys, are you doing on your own this time? I promise. Okay, do this one. Okay, that was enough time. Let's look at this one together. My first thing I'm going to do is find my middle value. It's right there. Then I'm going to count. How far away do I travel? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to write my absolute value signs. I'm going to find the difference between 2 equals 4. The distance between x and 0 is 4. X and 0 is 4. But we normally would just write it. Absolute value of x equals 4. Okay? Questions? Let's do another one. Try this one. Do this one for me. Okay, Eduardo. So the distance between what and what is what? Tell me. No. We start with the middle, right? And we're going to count out how far away do I have to move from -2 to 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In this direction, I can also move 5. So the distance between a number, which is, we call that x, the distance between x and what is what? The distance between x and -2 is 5. The distance between x and -2 equals 5. So we write it like this. X plus 2 equals 5. Questions? Let's try the last one before we move into something different. Write the absolute value equation of the graph. I'm just going to let's call Christopher. Christopher, what are we finding? The distance between x and what? 2. And what is the distance from x and 2? 3 in each direction, right? How can I write that? The absolute value of x minus 2 equals 3. You guys good? You could do that on your homework?
Yep.
In both directions, given a graph, you could write the absolute value equation. Given the absolute value equation, you could write the graph?
Yep.
Okay. Let's try something different. Pencils down. You see words and you guys freak. It's not that bad. Pencils down, pay attention. The temperature of an enclosure for a pet snake should be about 80 degrees, give or take 5 degrees. So my mid is what? 80 degrees. Let's change the color, make it match the problem. So my middle is 80. How much warmer can the cage get? 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how much colder can it get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first one says, find the maximum and the minimum temperatures. What is the maximum temperature if the middle is 80? And what's the minimum temperature? 75. This is my graph. Now let's do an absolute value equation. The distance between x and my middle is how much? 5. So the distance between what is 5? 80. But can the snake enclosure be 81, 82, 83, 84, 85? So everything less than or equal to 5. Right? All the numbers less than? Does that make sense? The equal problems are it could only be 5 away. But this one says there's a whole range here. All of the numbers in here. Right? Okay, write that one down. All right, let's have you guys try one on your own. So it says last year the average, the Algebra 1 final exam, or the average of the Algebra 1 final exam was 65%. The test scores varied by as much as 36%. But what was the middle? 65. Find the maximum minimum, graph it, write an absolute value equation. Go. Let's do this one together. Let me change my color. You know me in colors. So I'm going to start with B first. I think graphing just makes it so you can see it. What's my middle, Gilbert? 65. And how far am I going to travel in this direction? 36. And how far am I going to travel in this direction? 36. Did you figure out how much 65 plus 36 was? Should be 101. Did you guys get 101 and 29? Okay, so what are my maximum and my min? What's my max? 101. And what's my minimum? 29. And what's my equation? Who thinks they have my equation? Matt, how about you? The actual equation. X and the difference of 65 is not just 36, but less than or equal to 36. Okay? All the numbers that are less than that? Yes, Elijah. It's supposed to be numbers increase and decrease. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah? Okay. There's our 7-minute bell. What did you learn today?
Absolute value.
Absolute value. No, freeze. How many times do I have to do it, you guys? Freeze. Yes, I'm going to bring them up from yesterday. I'm not going to talk until you guys stop moving. What is the meaning of absolute value? Who can tell me? Let's hear it. Marcia. The difference between 0 and a number, right? The distance between them. Okay, on your assignment sheet, the distance between blank and blank is blank. I'll let you guys do that one. Good job today. I'm going to pass back test.